Thriving Thursday. So, my theme is thrive, right? Don't just survive, but thrive. So, we believe that we can apply that to relationships. We can apply that to ourselves for self improvement, personal growth, all those different things. Mm-hmm. And tonight we're going to be talking about thriving in sisterhood. Wow. We've got Shantel Nelson on here with us, and I'm super excited. Shantel and we met each other a while ago, and I'm going to let her describe who she is and how we met and all that other stuff. But we're going to talk tonight again about sisterhood. Now, we had Whitney Jacobs on Monday talking about sisterhood from a single person's perspective. Now we're going to have Shantel on here talking about sisterhood from a married person's perspective. I know sometimes sisterhood gets a little shade, especially for us married folks, because I don't have time for that. But I think we do. All right, Shantel, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I'm Shantel Nelson, and excuse me. In a few next week, I'll be married 18 years.
Wow,
yes,
that's awesome.
And we have 3 babies, and 12, almost 12, 8, wow. And 2 years old. And I'm originally from Mississippi. We moved here over 18 years ago for me to go to Rhema. And so, so that's
Rhema alum.
Yeah.
I knew I liked you.
So about 3 years or so ago, I left corporate America to come home to be with my children. So that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah. So how did we meet? Like, what did that look like? Do you remember?
Well, I've seen you on occasion at various HR functions, but I never met you. Mm-hmm. I didn't meet you until we went to the Broken Arrow Library. That's where I saw you, and I was like, I know you. And so we kind of started there, and we've been going here, ever since.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I saw her everywhere. Like, I'm like, who is she? And she was like the life of the party. Like, whenever you meet Shantel, she's everywhere. She's talking to everybody. Everybody loves Shantel, right?
Exactly.
I love Shantel. Anyway, so we've been going strong for the last, 4 years or so. Friends for the last 4 years. And I'm very grateful that Shantel was in my life. So without further ado, we can get right into it. Okay. So Shantel, because we know each other, I'm a little bit privy to just your heart, your insights and just your view of sisterhood. Could you share with our viewers like what your heart is towards sisterhood and why you think that's important for this day and this hour?
Well, I feel that sisterhood is very important, especially now in the season that I'm in, being a wife and being a mother. I've never been a wife, never been a mother, but there comes those challenges and those times when you feel so alone or feel so abandoned and feel misunderstood. And when you have another person, that's in the same boat as you, you can able to reach out to them, able to see them and encourage and partner with each other about tips and tricks or things that you did that you could get through this season. Because my thing is, I don't want to just survive in this season. I want to be able to thrive. And sometimes we have to have someone we can kind of bounce off of. And that's why it's so important for us to have sisterhood in every stage of life, I think.
That's really good. What about the conception, the idea that, my friends are my friends, I really don't need them, kind of kick them to the side, but, it's just me and my husband. What about that thinking?
Well, I feel as though we have to have priorities and excuse me. Yes, there'll be times and spaces where, as long as I have the understanding with my husband and sharing that information with him that, this is what I need. These are the things that I need to help me to be all that I can be. I think that helps, that communication piece with your marriage, because you don't want to choose him over your friends or your friends over him or your children. but how can we have a happy medium? And how we can have a happy medium is with the communication and also the benefits, sharing the benefits of doing that, and also encouraging him, to have that brotherhood, that partnership with his, with men in his life.
Well, so you call sisterhood a partnership. I don't know that I've quite seen it in that light.
Hmm.
What do you mean by that?
Well, partnership, like I said, it's like we're building and we're growing together, during this season of life. Um, and so that's what, to me, that's what partnership is. I mean, you have some strengths and and some weaknesses. I have some strengths and some weaknesses. And as we come together, I can even more help you in areas maybe you're struggling in, and you can help me. And we build each other up.
That's really good. I like that. You're my partner. Not in that way, but we're sister partners. So I would say, what do you think has played a role in your development as a strong woman? Because you're a very strong person. Um, I see you as a leader. I know others see you as a leader, and a person of influence. What would you say is a major contributing factor to those skills that are in you?
Well, the biggest, all credit is to the Lord. Growing up in a household where I'm a PK, I'm a preacher's kid, but being able to see firsthand the different challenges of being a preacher's kid and the different stigmas that I had to kind of counteract as a younger as a younger child.
Can you talk a little bit about that? What kind of stigmas did you face?
Well, as a preacher's kid, you're looked upon as possibly having it all together, not having any problems, having the answer, and almost like you're living in like a fishbowl that everybody can see you and all of your flaws and all of your mistakes, and it's kind of like that's how sometimes how the world sees you, and you're judged, pretty harshly, if you
Wow.
make a mistake.
Yeah.
And so sometimes, and that if you're not careful, you can put on those airs that everything is okay, that I'm strong, and you don't know how to be vulnerable with people because
Wow.
you're looked upon to be strong because you have the pastor. He's your father.
Yeah. What
So
what did it do to your friendships? I mean, like you have these people watching you and kind of judging you, looking to you for the answer. I mean, trying to make you it seems like they made you adult before you were an adult. Um, how did you how did that help with your friendships and building close knit relationships?
well, I'm just going to be honest. I didn't have a lot of friends growing up. No one I can really say this is my best friend or this is my partner or this is my, uh, as some people say, my road dog and all of that. I didn't
Ride
have
or
that.
die.
Yes, I didn't have that. I felt as though I had to be the one to take care of, and it was a hard weight as a younger child and growing up because I didn't want to let my dad down. I didn't want to let anybody down, and so that was hard because it was almost like I wasn't being, in some cases, my authentic self. Didn't really even know what that looked like.
Did you feel like it was lonely?
Very lonely, very lonely, and like and as I grew and understood and as I looked out and I saw other people, you know, uh, talking to each other, being vulnerable, cutting up with each other, and I'm like, wow, how can I do that? How can I have that?
So you long for those types of relationships all the
Yes.
time. Where do you feel like it turned around for you?
Excuse me. Well, I feel like it turned around for me. I don't know if there was a particular moment, but I know that the Lord has put several people in my life to kind of. It's almost like whet the appetite for that. Sometimes I knew I wanted it, but it was something I didn't really
That
pursue.
is so good.
You know,
Yeah, you didn't know that you needed
I
it.
didn't know I needed it
Right.
until he
Okay.
kept putting. He would put it in, and I would look at it. I'm like, man, wow, that looks, like exciting, or that looks, but then when he actually continued to um, when other people would come and they would share, and they're vulnerable, and I'm like, wow, and then I started to share.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like a set time, but it was gradual that that happened,
Yeah.
that I was able to say, wow, I have feelings, and what I have to say matters, and I don't have to be strong in every situation. I don't have to know everything in every situation.
So did you feel like that need for the loneliness kind of dissipated just as those relationships were being added to your life and you were learning that you could be vulnerable in these situations?
No, the loneliness was still there. It decreased, and
Okay.
I wouldn't say that it has completely gone away, but in each stage of my life, I've noticed that sometimes we kind of hold things back,
Yeah.
and we repeat the same cycle.
Mm.
So truly learning how to allow to let go, just like for instance, when I went through high school, I had that, and then went through college. I was able to let go a little bit. Then I got married, moved away, had children. So it's a little bit of learning how in each stage how to be vulnerable,
Ooh, that's
what
good.
to share,
Yeah.
you know. So
So I guess as a teenager, would you feel like, kind of being a preacher's kid, opening up to people was probably really a challenging thing because like you are the pastor's kid. Did you find that people tried to have relationship with you to get closer to your parents?
no, I'm not. I don't know. I don't know, and I guess that could have been, but I really feel at times that there are some people that were really hurting. And if you see someone that looks like they have it together, whether they have it together or not, but if I'm putting on a persona that I'm strong and I have it together, you know what? I'm gonna kind of gravitate to that person because they have it together. Maybe they have an answer. Maybe they can help me. And so, but see, I wasn't allowing myself to be that way, to be vulnerable.
Hmm. Hmm. That's good. Wow. I think for me personally, I had a tendency to do the same thing. I've always felt like I was lonely as a teenager. I became a Christian later, like
Hmm.
as a teenager, like in the prime of my teenage years. and I didn't really. I had listened to a lot of people. I didn't understand that you could love people for where they are. I was trying to make everybody look like me and everybody be who I had become.
Hmm.
And I dropped a lot of my friendships and relationships at that time. So it was very lonely for me. So kind of getting to know and be vulnerable with people, it was super hard because I didn't know who to trust.
Hmm.
I didn't know what to do or what that looked like. So it was a pretty lonely walk. I didn't realize we had so much in common as
Yes.
far as that's concerned.
Hmm.
So you had mentioned, you said that there have been strong women that have come into your life
Hmm.
and have kind of sort of, I wouldn't say called you out, but called you to a higher purpose.
Hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, one person comes to mind is her name is Miss Sandra. Um, one day, I just love how God orchestrates things, and it was one day I was in college, and I didn't have a Sam's Club card, and I felt impressed to go to Sam's Club, and at that time, you have to have a Sam's Club
Right,
card.
right, right.
So I'm like, okay, Lord, what am I going to do? Because I felt like I needed to go. I don't know why. So I went to Sam's, and that particular day, they were allowing you to come. It was you could. They was giving away temporary Sam's cards or what have
Really?
you. It was a temporary Sam's card that I got, and so I was walking in Sam's, mesmerized by all of the book stuff and everything, just excited, a college student. And
Yeah,
I kept
yeah.
walking around. I didn't have any money though, but I kept walking around, and I knew I had a strong witness. I needed to be here. And anyway, I was looking around, and I'm like, I don't even know, God, why am I here? And I was getting ready to leave because I thought it was pointless for me to be here because
Uh-huh.
I'm like, I don't see anything.
Yeah.
And Anyway, I was making my way out of the store, and then I looked down one of the, it was like cups, I think cups out or whatever. And there was a lady that I had known before at the church that I was attending at the time, and I saw her, and I went and I spoke to her. But there was another lady with her. I never knew who this lady was. But then I don't know how the conversation started, but we were standing. All I remember, I was standing in the cup aisle with this lady that I hardly knew, and I was crying. She was crying. I don't even know what we was talking about, what was said, but we. It was like I knew in my spirit that this is why I had to come in the
Yeah,
seance to
yeah,
meet
yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
lady, and how the Lord used this one lady familiarity for me to bridge over to this lady that I needed to meet. And anyway, that lady had been so instrumental in my life. Oh my gosh. I mean, she was the one who showed me that it was okay to love me, and it was okay to be vulnerable. It was okay to be weak. And not only that, but she celebrated it. She celebrated when I was able to share that. But I felt safety with
Hmm.
her. I felt such a safety. I felt like I could just be me. I didn't have to put on any airs. I didn't have to. I could just be me, and she could be herself, and we loved it.
Oh, wow. So were you guys the same age or was she
No, she
older?
was much older than me.
Wow.
Hmm.
Wow. So you had sisterhood can not just be with people your own
Yes.
age, but it can be with people that are older, that are pouring into your life,
Hmm.
mentoring you. I've had my own mentors that
Hmm.
kind of helped me get to where I am today, and I can tell you that I wouldn't take those relationships for anything. Like I
Yes.
wouldn't trade those for anything.
Yes.
I think that's phenomenal. You said you felt a sense of safety. What do you mean by that? I mean, like, do you feel like safety and sharing or safety just in other areas? What was that about?
I just felt like I could share anything without being judged.
Mm,
I
yeah.
felt like I could just share anything, share my heart, share my dislikes, and it wasn't pointed out. She didn't look different. She didn't sound different. She was the same. And she had some herself, and she was able to share those, and I was able to sit there and listen. So it was almost like I was being groomed and trained, you know, by the Holy Spirit through her.
Hmm. So you have sisters of your own, right?
Hmm.
And did you have that sense of safety with them as well, or did you take on a different role?
I took on a different role, and when I was younger, I had to help practically raise them when they were younger, and I don't know if I don't think that was intentionally done, but because I was so responsible and I was so strong, my mom relied on me a lot. And so as a result, um, I didn't know I was missing sisterhood. I mean, I just was there trying to help my mom or my dad to do whatever they needed to do. And so as a result, my younger siblings would look to me
Yeah.
sometime as a mom. And I, to this day, not at the time, but as I reflect back on my growing up, I miss that essence
Yeah.
of a sisterhood
Yeah.
or of being really a true sister. And we try to step back now, um, to allow that to form, but I don't know if it would ever be what I want it to be
Yeah.
because of how we grew up. But I'm striving for that
Yeah.
and trying not to be so opinionated, trying not to uh, jump in so quickly.
Mm.
Um, but with that in place, it kind of I feel hurt that sisterhood what could have been.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel like the friendships that you have with other people have enabled you to see the value of sisterhood with your own family?
Yes, it's very valuable, and that's one of the things that I strive. I mean, granted, in this season of life, it's all hands on deck.
Yeah.
With my
Yeah.
daughter Hannah and her sister, I'm trying my hardest to not repeat the cycle,
Yeah.
because it can come so easy when you see someone that is extra hands helping out. But I have to understand that this is making an impression on her future.
Yeah.
So I try to intentionally, um, you know, give Hannah, some time away or different things like that, because I don't want her to feel overly responsible for Mariah or overly responsible for Tobias, because I want them to be sister and brother instead of just sister and or just a daughter and these are her children. That's not the situation.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that you're proactive in making sure that they have a healthy relationship. Do you feel like that because you had that responsibility, did you harbor any resentment towards your siblings at all, or any resentment just for having to take on that responsibility?
Well, I've had some resentment when I see how sometimes how my younger two sisters interact with each other, because I long for it, I grieve for it, because I'm like, would I ever be that way? Would that ever be how they look at me?
Yeah.
Or would it always be they look to me as their mom, or look to me as someone who's responsible, or look to me as, I can't be cool because of what is it, miss and replace, what is that term? Um giving responsibility wasn't mine.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know that term, but it's a
I'm not sure what it is either, but
yeah.
we'll
But
look it
given
up and come back to you.
but given that responsibility, that wasn't mine, and so I have longed for that, and I have harbored that inside. Um, but that's one of the things that I'm at now. I'm 42 years old, but it's like now I'm learning how to let go of things and learning how to. Uh, it's okay. I can't go back and I can't change how I was raised or how I grew up, but I can change now, and I
Yeah.
can change what I give to the future.
Yeah. I like that. I appreciate that. Very much so. I think when you're growing up, I mean, you're just kind of you just go with the flow,
Hmm.
and you don't know that these things are building until you get
Yes.
on later, and it's like, oh my gosh, that's why they treat me this way, because I didn't have an opportunity to be that for
Hmm.
them. I didn't have an opportunity to be seen in that light,
Hmm.
and it does hurt. I mean, I can say that that would hurt um, very deeply, because you do want to have like a camaraderie, and I mean, we all have a sense of belonging.
Yes.
We want to belong. We want to. Well, we all crave a sense of belonging. Let me say,
Hmm.
we don't
Hmm.
all have a sense of belonging, because some of us are trying to find it, and you know, a lot of people embrace different groups, gangs, other types of life choices, because they want to be accepted, they want
Yes.
to belong. And sometimes one of the places that we are not accepted is in our family,
Yeah.
and we don't have that sense of belonging. So in some cases, God, when we pray and ask him, he will help
Yes.
and restore and help us see what we need, right?
Yes.
And I love that about him.
Amen.
I love
Amen.
that about him. No time is ever lost with him.
Hmm.
He can, and the scripture says that he redeems the time.
Amen.
And, I see like I guess you're in college, and he brought this back to you. He gave you an
Yes.
opportunity to experience what you missed
Hmm.
throughout your childhood.
Hmm.
And I love that. So, I wanted to ask, let's see, why do you think, let's see, I had asked you the other day, um, what do you think about connection? Because I think a lot of times when people think of friendship, you think of friendship, yeah, I hang with this person. Um, this is just who we are, whatever. Sometimes you don't necessarily realize that you need a deeper connection. And I listened to a lady, her name is Shasta Nelson, I think. Shasta Nelson, not Shantel. She's a psychologist, and she has a book called Frientimacy, and she talks about the levels of friendship. And she said, you may be surrounded by a group of people, but you may still be longing for a deeper connection with friends. And she said, you have your network friends, people that you just kind of know and know you. Then you have your acquaintances. And then you have friendships where you do stuff with people. And then you have an intimate circle of people that you look for. Do you feel like you've had the opportunity to experience all of those levels of friendship? And do you think that that is a true statement?
I feel it's a true statement, but no, I don't feel like I have experienced all of those levels. I feel that now I'm, and I truly believe that, as you're ready for a statement that a wise person have once said, when you're ready when you are ready to learn, the teacher will show up.
Okay.
And I feel that at this point in my life, I'm ready to go deeper. And I feel now that those type of friendships are coming into my life. Because before, even though I was surrounded with people and it only went so far, not intentionally. However, I did not feel as safe, I
Hmm.
guess. So I would, I would go a certain level and I would give, but I would rarely see it reciprocated. And that would hurt. And so that would kind of stop. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe they are not that person, but I wouldn't go any further. So, but I feel now as I'm becoming more vulnerable, and I'm sharing more with people and allowing them to share more. Those relationships, as far as that intimacy circle, I feel that it is for me.
That's good.
Mhm.
Have you noticed that when you are open, that people are or more apt to be open?
Yes, and I don't have a problem with being open, but I one of the things that I am learning too is not to go too deep too soon.
Yeah.
And I think that what scares people because, like you said, everyone is not ready to go there. And that's one of the things that the Lord is showing me is just to be there, present with that person, and never underestimate the power of presence.
Yeah. What do you mean by be present? I mean, I know what you mean, right? But just for the people that are watching, what do you mean by being what the power of presence?
Being able to sit there, whether good, bad, or indifference, being able to sit there quietly listening to someone, and it may not be that this person is saying anything, but you being there, because they could be going through pain. They could be going through, because I went through a horrible situation in my life, and not maybe two, two, 3 years ago, and in that time there was the set of twins. They had came by and they brought me some food, and they sat there. They sat there with me in my pain. I cried. I maybe talked a little bit, but they didn't. The situation that was going on with me, we didn't talk a whole lot about, but they was willing if I needed them to. But their presence was so vital to me to let me know that someone cares. And I think that's basically what I mean. Just being present with people, not demanding anything of that space, but just being present and being there and being, because we carry. We I think we underestimate what we carry. As if we're Christians, we carry the Almighty God in us. And if we go and we sit there, it's like the Almighty God is sitting here with me. And it's just like that's powerful.
Yeah, yeah, it is. I think a lot of times those situations are very uncomfortable, and I think those are situations that people run from
Yes.
because we're so anecdotal. I've got to tell you what to do and how you got to overcome and come up with
Yes.
something. We want to be the hero in a story.
Yes.
And I think a lot of times we miss out on something that's very critical, and that's just being there. You don't need to be the hero.
That's right.
You need to be the comforter.
That's right.
We got to be the supporting actor
That's
sometimes.
right. Exactly. We don't know everything.
Right, exactly. I can say the first time that I really um was able to do that, this lady's husband had passed away just suddenly. It was on my oldest son's birthday,
Hmm.
and I didn't know what to do. Like, I didn't know what to say to her. So what I did, I just sat, and she wanted to hug, so I sat and held on to her for a long time. Well, for me, naturally speaking, I am not a person. I like to hug, but
Hmm.
it's the long hugs for like 30, 40 minutes is really kind of an uncomfortable place for me.
Hmm.
But that was what she needed at the time. I mean, I'm not talking about like, we were embraced like that, but just putting my arm around her
Hmm.
and just being there. And then if she needed to cry, I would cry. I was touched. I was moved.
Yes.
Every time she was moved, I was moved. Not because I was trying to replicate how she
Hmm.
felt, but because I really was moved. Like, I was so sad for her that
Yes.
her husband passed away
Hmm.
in this way. And that was the first time I had ever not tried to provide some sort of a antidote or some kind of a quick solution on, yeah, you just need to get over it and just kind of move on.
Yes.
People in their grief. I think that's what sisterhood means. I mean, you know that person well enough to say, now is not the time,
Yes. Hmm. Exactly.
right?
Hmm.
Or I'm willing to be uncomfortable for you,
Yes.
for what you need.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm telling you the same thing. I'm very expressive, okay? Right.
Oh my goodness.
A lot of times, just to kind of shift gears a little bit, because that was really intimate,
Yes, let's move on.
we're gonna shift. But we're gonna shift gears just a little bit. A lot of times, when you're dealing with friendships with women, you deal with a lot of competition. You deal with the jealousy. Um, you deal with just all kinds of uh, different aspects. I've heard it called cattiness, pettiness. Just I'm not gonna say any other words that I've heard, but
No, won't be appropriate.
right, no. So, when you have you ever faced like some of these things in your relationships, or have you been the culprit of some of these things in your relationships? And if so, how did you overcome either one or both circumstances?
As far as,
Pettiness, competitiveness, all those things.
mm, well, I guess the competitiveness, if you will, it could show up so many different ways. And the first thing comes to mind is jealousy. Borderline, just the undercurrent is jealousy. And I have had opportunities to be jealous. I mean, especially now, with the social media, all these things, it's right in your face all the time, and you're seeing all the good that's in people's lives, and we rejoice with them. But sometimes when you look out and you're going through a horrible season in your life, and all you see, in somebody else's life is, they're climbing the ladder, everything's going great, but but that's when I feel, when we go back into the Bible, as when Peter, when he stepped out of the boat, and he asked, wait, before he stepped out of the boat, he asked Jesus, is that you? If it's you, and he said, Jesus told him, it's me, come. And he wanted to come to Jesus. And when he got out of the boat, he was able to walk on water. And when he got to the point that he started looking at the waves and looking at all the things that, I mean, he couldn't do it anyway, but he was looking at the waves, and then he started to sink.
Yeah.
And that's what happens to us when we get our focus off of Jesus. When we get our focus off of him, that's when we start sinking, and everything else, we are anchored by something else, not him.
Mm.
And so we have to put our anchor on Jesus in order to stay stable. But what have happened in situations past, when I will look at other people's successes, and I'm putting my anchor on that circumstance, And so guess what? I'm moved. And it's not always the best, because I go into a place of, trying to compete, doing things that I wasn't designed to do. But one of the things that the Lord has helped me with to counteract that state is whenever I am feeling jealous of someone, go pray for them. Pray for that person for even more blessings to come. And even if you have, uh, the the means, do something outwardly to bless them, because that really just humbles you inside, you know, to speak blessings and be thankful for what I do currently have.
That's good. So let me ask you this, because I mean, there's some of our viewers don't know Christ and
Hmm.
don't have a relationship, don't value the
Hmm.
relationship that we have. How would you say those people can? Because for us, we look to Jesus.
Hmm.
We put our focus on Him. But for those that don't necessarily feel that that's something that they want to do, what's a practical way for them to kind of overcome maybe jealousy or competitiveness that they may be feeling in their hearts?
My biggest thing is look at what you have. If you really look at what you have, and practice the art of gratitude, being thankful for where you are in life, looking at some things that are high points, and start celebrating more,
Hmm.
because you have some things in your life that is worthy of celebration.
That's really good.
So being able to celebrate those small things,
Yeah.
because as those small things are celebrated, they mount up to bigger things.
I know for me personally, competition is like one of my pet peeves. Okay.
Hmm.
And jealousy is one of my pet peeves. For me, I feel like I have been jealous. And generally, if I get jealous, like you said, I start celebrating other people.
Hmm.
And I start thinking about, oh man, these are the things that I have. And I will pray. And you know what I mean? I'll
Yes.
get into those love scriptures and start really focusing and meditating on those and remembering those and saying those kind of like my mantra throughout
Hmm.
the day, right?
Yes.
I'm not jealous, like not denying it, but
Yes.
just saying, hey, look, this is an area of weakness. I need to talk my brain into and talk my heart into being grateful for these
Yes.
people.
Hmm.
And I had one job, and I've been in HR, so that's how we
Yes.
met. We
Hmm.
met in our HR circles and then officially at the library. But with being in HR, you have access to people's salaries, and you know when people get promoted, and you know
Yes.
when people get demoted, and you
Hmm.
know when people get raises and things of that nature.
Yes.
It took everything in me to like not be jealous of these people. You see these pay sheets coming across, or you see it like in an electronic system, and you see that she's got a 25% increase, and you're like, what about me? Right?
Yes.
What about me? So one of the things that I would do is I would see the pay increases, and I would just start getting excited. I'm like, man, I'm so excited. These people are going to have more for their families and more to take home. And
Hmm.
man, I'm so grateful. And then I would try to find out about them and find out how well they were doing. And then I would call them or send them an email and celebrate them and say, man, I'm so excited for you. Well, that changed my heart toward them.
Hmm.
It did. It changed my heart because I was
Yes.
like, there's no way. And then if I've been jealous of my friends, that's when I go hard and I start celebrating even more so. Like if I seen something that you had that I wanted, I would start rejoicing over it because
Hmm.
I'm like, wow,
Yes.
my God is good enough to give me what
Yes.
you have. I don't have to be mad about what you have
Amen.
because there's plenty
Amen.
to share.
That's right.
Right. But competitiveness is one of my pet peeves. Um, and if I find out that a person is extremely competitive or jealous,
Hmm.
I'll give them opportunity to rectify the situation. But I don't stay there too long because jealousy turns
Yes.
into hatred.
Hmm.
And then that's not true friendship.
That's
It
right.
breaks the relationship.
Hmm.
To me, I feel like it's a breach in contract.
Hmm.
You secretly hate me. We can't be friends.
No. 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 That is so true.
Right. So you feel like, the way that you've combated it, it really helps you to grow
Yes.
in the
Hmm.
area. I think that's so good, Chantel. I really do. I think I do think it's so good. Um, I want you to talk to me just a little bit about. I know we talked a lot on. I think it was Sunday. We had this initial conversation. There are some things that are in your heart, and I want to give you an opportunity to share that. You feel like in this season, God has placed a ministry in your heart for sisterhood. Can you talk a little bit about that and what your plans are, what you can see in the future, and maybe your next event or first event, initial event,
All
whatever.
of the above. Well, I will start off with a story from the Bible,
Okay.
and it's about a lady by the name of Hagar, and Hagar, she's a lady who was more like a slave to Abraham and Sarah. And with Abraham and Sarah, that situation where Sarah couldn't conceive a child, and so she thought it best. She didn't want to wait on the Lord, so she thought it best for her servant Hagar to bear the child with her husband instead. Sometimes we get too wise for our own good. But
Yeah.
but as a servant, Hagar did, and she was able to conceive. And so during this process, Sarah became, I don't know what all transpired, but there was some jealousy, there was some contention there, strife. And anyway, it was at a point that Hagar, even though she was pregnant, she couldn't take it anymore, and she went out into the wilderness. And just left it all. She went out into a wilderness, and while she was there, she had an encounter with the Lord. And Sarah, Hagar could have said several things while she was there in the wilderness. I mean, she could have said several things about God, about who He was, but what she chose to say was, a God this is a God who sees.
Yeah.
And that's my heart right now, is that really there's so many, I feel, that are asking the Lord, do you see me? Or just asking, do you see me? Am I known? And the answer is yes. Am I enough? Am I, and so basically that story just so moved me, because I encounter several situations, but to bring that more to life, there was a situation when I was in corporate America.
Oh, I love this story.
I was in corporate America, and I had the opportunity to be co-chair of a women organization, which was amazing. And so, as I was co-chair, there was partnerships that we had to, we wanted to form to get known in the community. And so, one such partnership, the chair we was talking together, and it was a function that they were going to be having the following day or so, and so and I knew about it, but I wasn't going to be going to the meeting, so therefore I didn't dress the part, because it was going to be at a country club, and so anyway, I got to work the next day, and the chair had an impromptu meeting, and she wasn't able to go, and she really thought this would be a great partnership, so she encouraged me to attend. And I wasn't prepared to go, but I went anyway. Mm-hmm. And when I got there, it was almost like I saw all of these Bentleys and Mercedes, mm-hmm. all these nice cars mm-hmm. in the parking lot, and then I mean, my little car, and then and I think my purse needed to be repaired. I did not. Yeah. I was not prepared at all. And so I walked in there, and I saw these women dressed, with all kinds of fancy things and nice things, and I just, it's like I was going. It's like almost like think about a balloon, mm-hmm. and it was like as I kept going, it was being deflated to almost nothing. And I was trying to smile, but as people were talking and just kind of mingling before before the festivities started, I got up and I went to the bathroom because I almost felt like I couldn't breathe. I
Yeah.
literally could not breathe, and I went into the bathroom, the bathroom stall, and I said, Lord, why am I here? Why am I here? I cannot, and I wanted to just go. So
Yeah.
I said, and when I leave out of here, I'm just gonna go. And and I just heard in my spirit, the Lord said, no, you are welcome here. You are welcome here. And those words, oh my gosh, I was able to leave out of, wash my hands and get myself together. And I walked back into the function. And one of the ladies came up to me and she said she wanted me to sit at a certain place. And I went and I sat there. And she said, "You don't even know who I am, do you?" And I said, "No, I don't." And she wanted me to introduce me to someone. And come to find out, the person she wanted me to introduce me to was the president of this group. And so we was able to connect and form that partnership. But my thing is, so oftentimes we allow the circumstances we're in. We allow the family we grew up in and all these things to put value on us and put price tags on us and deem us that we are important and we this. But then when those things are not there or when they're not in place, how quickly, like I said, that balloon deflates. But my thing is that's misapplied. It When you were in your mother's womb, God knitted you in your mother's womb, and that creates value. That's
Yeah.
all you already. When you come out, you are valuable. But and He is the one who puts the price tag on our worth and
That's
our
good.
value. That's why we have to go to Him because we are the apple of His eye, the center of His eye. That's how valuable we are. And if we continue to allow the circumstance, that's like I said before, when we take our eyes off of Him or it's almost like it's a losing battle.
Yeah.
So that's my heart in this hour is restoring the not really restoring the value, it's recognizing
Yeah.
the value,
Calling it out.
calling it out
Yeah. Yeah.
that we truly have
Yeah.
because we're already made that way. And it goes back to that little anecdote about the eagle and the chicken. I mean, when the chicken was you've never heard of that. But
No.
anyway, when the chicken, okay, let me just kind of give a synopsis of it. When the eagle, it was some eggs that was in a chicken coop, right?
Hmm.
And there was a chicken egg, there was an eagle egg because the eagle dropped the egg and it was there. And so, okay, the egg cracked and then the eagle came out and the baby chick came out. And so the big chicken was able to raise the eagle as if it's a chicken.
Kind of like the ugly duckling
Yeah,
story. Okay.
exactly.
Okay. Okay.
But this
Okay.
was an eagle,
Okay.
and the eagle, it was so interesting. The eagle would always look up at the other eagles. And he walking around with his wings getting in everybody's way. But see, we look, he was
Yeah.
he was in everybody else's way, but really and truly, he was in the wrong place.
Yeah. That's good. That's
But
good.
so often when we devalue ourselves, we kind of put ourselves in places we shouldn't even be.
That's good.
And we're in people's way, but if we was in our place,
Yeah.
you
Girl, you preaching
understand
now.
you will understand why I got these long wings. You will understand why I'm built this way.
Yeah.
You will understand why I talk this way
Yeah.
when you are in your place.
That's good.
So it's basically calling that out, calling that woman out and letting her know you are valuable right where you are. You are valuable. And when you start understanding those where you're supposed to be, it's like that eagle, it took flight.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
I understand I can fly, and guess what? When he got amongst his kind, he wasn't so strange anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
He had so many other abilities. He had so many other things because it was even things he didn't even know he had until he got around his group.
Yeah.
And that's where I want us to go as a sisterhood, to be able to just come amongst our kind and to be able to ignite those passions, not change each other, but ignite what's already there because it's valuable. And when you're in your place, I'm in my place, because our Father is out after the tapestry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because
Mm-hmm.
when you think about a tapestry, you see all of the ugliness on the end and all the different connections. But on the other side,
Yeah, it's beautiful.
it's a beautiful
It's
picture.
beautiful.
It's a beautiful
Yeah,
picture.
yes.
And so I'm after that beautiful tapestry of various colors, shades. It doesn't matter. And so, that's where I'm at now. And so I don't know what God, how he's going to lead it, but I do know it has to be a beginning.
Yeah.
And so, what I'm endeavoring to do is have a like almost like a garden kind of dinner for some women that I've already been associated with, and so we're just going to kind of sit around on the ground with the pillows, the little low table, to get close and get intimate and humble, before our God. Not coming with already pre-made whatever, but coming as we are
Yeah.
to share. Because if we look at ourselves and because when I look at people, it's like a treasure chest. We all have a treasure chest. And when we open up and give, it's like we're giving value
Yes.
to other people
Yes.
and igniting that.
Yes.
And so, that's why when a sister shares or someone shares with us, we should not deem it as nothing, because we don't know what it took for that person to be vulnerable with you. They're sharing a piece of their treasure.
Yeah.
And it should be valued.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That was a lot. And I mean, it really excites me because Relationships Matters 2020 is really about, building that community. It's online, and taking steps and showing people that they have personal worth,
Yes.
that there's personal growth in them,
Mm-hmm.
right? They don't have
Mm-hmm.
to stay where they are. You don't have to get stuck.
Yes.
You don't have to just survive, right?
Yes.
And if you haven't had these relationships, if you're lonely, it's first of all, number one, I think you had to acknowledge the fact that you needed that
Yes.
relationship,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody whet your, what'd you say?
Appetite.
Whet your appetite,
Mm-hmm.
and let you know, hey, look, I need this in my life.
Yes.
I gotta have these relationships with other women,
Mm-hmm.
and then that made you even appreciate your sisters.
Yes.
Those relationships, and it helped you shift. And now you're in the process of shifting what
Yes.
that looks like so that you can have a better relationship
Mm-hmm.
with your siblings. I think that's so amazing. And then the fact that now you're in a season where you're saying, okay, look, you woman,
Yes.
you sister have value within you. And it's important that we build a community so that you can get what you need. You can fulfill your purpose.
Yes.
You can you can fulfill your destiny. And I'm not threatened by that. I support you. I'm with you.
Mm-hmm.
We stand together
Exactly.
in this process. Wow. I love it. I love it. I think for me, just over the last few years, I did have to get to a place of vulnerability. I equated marriage so much with vulnerability that I excluded other friendships. And I didn't think that you could get to a place like that. I thought that that was something that was bizarre or not necessary.
Mm-hmm.
I put my marriage in the place of having women in my life,
Mm-hmm.
to build me up and strengthen me. I would think something was a little weird or off with a friendship, and I'd be like, well, my husband is there. You know what I mean? I'll tell him what's going on instead of like being able to confront the situation and deal with the issues or whatever that we were having, or saying, I don't really understand what this meant. Can you really explain this so that I can get a better understanding? Because this is what I think you mean. I think that has helped me. Even when I met you, I was in the process of changing from not being open, not being vulnerable, not being transparent, to being more of those things. And I think that's I think for me personally, I know that that's why I kept coming around, because I'm like, okay, I'm intentionally making myself do this, even though I feel like my life is in shambles. Like, even though I feel like I'm going through so much right now that I don't have time for this, like, and then I need to focus on something else. I was intentional in trying to be in friendship with you because I felt like you had something of value to add to my life, and I haven't regretted it.
It's mutual.
Hang on. So I want to say, just for the last few moments, just share your heart. Talk about the importance of community, and having other people in your life, just for the next 2-3 minutes.
Well, my biggest thing is, I know everyone is in different walks of life, and if you haven't given your life to the Lord, you know, I cannot say enough about it because of how He has changed my life and how He has shown me things about myself that I didn't even know that I needed. So the value of community, the value of sisterhood, um, truly understanding that sometimes we need other parts of the body to even excel in the destiny that the Lord has called us to. And sometimes we stifle that because we are not being transparent. We're not being vulnerable. And I am saying to be vulnerable and be transparent, but being wise as well. Because we can be vulnerable and be transparent. And I'm not going to say this is not going to come that you won't get hurt. There may be times that you will be hurt. There may be times that people will let you down. I'm not saying not to do it, but I am saying making sure that this person is safe. And maybe we don't share all at initially. Maybe we do it in baby steps. But my thing is we have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
We have to start somewhere because you don't want to have all this stuff bottled up inside of you. And at this point, I just feel that to step out of your comfort zone. Because when you step out of your comfort zone, I mean, it takes you to places you never thought you would go. And you experience things you never thought you would experience. So it's just time to live. And so embrace community.
I love that. Oh my gosh, this has been so much fun. I enjoyed having you sit here instead of being online.
Yes.
We've been around each other, so that's why we're not wearing masks. Yes. And we've both been tested. We're good. Just in case you were wondering.
Yes.
But just to let you know, I'm going to take a couple weeks off, and then I'll come back. We'll come back with Andrea on relationships in August, probably the second week in August. But we're going to take a few weeks off just to recoup, regroup, and we'll have some new people on here. And I'm super excited about what's to come. Shantel, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for sharing your heart. I am totally grateful, and I totally appreciate you being here with me today. So today we talked about community. We talked about sisterhood. We talked about all of the important things that are wrapped up in that. And one of the first steps is to be vulnerable. One of the first steps is to step out and take a risk, and know that community is valuable. You're valuable.
Yes.
And you're important to the lives of other people. Until next time, we'll see you then. Bye.